welcome to Show Up, Stand Out online visibility series for entrepreneurs. My name is Juliet Stapleton. I'm a visibility strategist known as the Queen of Visibility, and I'm here to bring you absolutely awesome entrepreneurs and experts from all over the world. Today, I'm talking to Wendy Maynard. Wendy, she's the creator of the Business Profit Formula, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that. But Wendy teaches service-based entrepreneurs and business owners the fastest and the most effective way to grow their companies to 6, 7, or 8 figures. So I am so excited, Wendy. Thank you so much for being my guest on the show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. And hi, everyone. Thank you for watching. And what a brilliant woman you are learning from about visibility.
Thank you so much. Wendy and me, we met recently online, and we just did, if you follow me, my whole strategy is connect to people, talk to them like real people, and we just hit it off. It was one of those conversations that we just had like an instant crush on each other. And
we're totally crushing on each other. Yeah, it
was brilliant. And this is what I always say, you never know when you're connecting. You need to connect to people like real people and treat them like real people, because you end up enriching your life so much by just hitting it off and meeting amazing people. So what we want to talk about today is also such an important subject, and really it's really the resistance to selling and making money. And I think that so many entrepreneurs, if not probably all entrepreneurs at the start of their journey, they feel this, and some people feel resist for much longer than just the start of the journey. So what do you think is causing this? Let's talk about this. What is at the core of that resistance?
Well, it's really interesting. It's actually, I find it has an insidious nature, and I always say this because is it okay to say a curse on here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Some people don't like that, so I just wanted to make sure. But what I always tell people, because people have these fears around making money and building real wealth in their lives, and I'll talk about the insidious nature of that, but I think a lot of people are taught by their family, their community as they're growing up, maybe their culture, it really depends, but their environment and their nurturing, that somehow money will make them evil and they will turn into an evil person. And so what I always tell people is, look, asshole people do asshole things with a lot of money. Great people do great things with a lot of money. And this is a really important shift. But where I find the insidious nature about making good money and building real wealth comes in is that people, because they have this pre-programming and these limiting beliefs, they position it as a positive in their lives. And so this is the insidious piece. They'll say things like, well, I don't really need a lot of money to be happy. Well, I don't, I'm okay right where I'm at. I just want to serve people. And what I always tell my clients is, look, that is great, but you can be a conduit for money. You do not have to keep it. No one says you have to keep it. If you want to make a bigger impact in the world, money is what helps you make an impact. Like it or not, money is one of the most impactful things in our lives. You don't need it to be happy, but if you want to affect more people, you absolutely need more money.
I love this, and it's very timely, because just this morning, myself and my husband were walking in the woods, and he was saying something like, money is nothing. I said, what do you mean? Because I straight away knew that this is something to do. There's going to be some sort of limiting belief coming out of this. Yeah. I'm saying, well, if you take all the money in the world and you put it in a pile and somebody owns it, that's no good for that person, because the real stuff is all sort of free. And that's exactly what I said to him. I said, it's not about owning that money. Money is just an energy of exchange. So you need that to make an impact, because when you're struggling, there's so many other things that are only going to bring you down, and you can't help other people, and it's absolutely true. And yet I think that there is this picture of, if you say have a lot of money, that you have this room full of gold and you're there, sort of, over this gold and this an evil person. But that's just all. These are all images that and true. Yes.
And so, like I said, it's insidious. And so things that show up in our lives, like it's positioned as a positive. And so I believe that there is this good people, heart-centered people, heart-driven people who want to do good in the world. They sort of equate poverty with nobility. So if I stay poor, I'm noble. I stay good. And they really do believe that more money will corrupt them. And the other thing that I've found, which is really fascinating, is people who have this mentality, which is tons and tons of us, right? So like, I also do exercises with people who are my clients, and I help them to say things that make them cringe. So I want to have $1 million in my bank account. I want to make $1 million a year. I want to make $1 million a month, whatever it is. And for some people, that's really cringy. And so, again, it's a self-limiting negative belief, but the shift can be so powerful, but it also shows up as fear, as lack of confidence. It can show up as procrastination. And what I've found is, so most people are familiar with a weight set point. So when you're trying to lose weight, or even if you've lost weight, like you'll return to your weight set point, right? That's kind of a common thing. What I've found working with clients is there's also this money set point. And so what is so interesting, and I do mindset work with my clients on an ongoing basis. I have all of these, daily practices that I have them do, because unless we start doing visioning and performance-based activities sort of in the same way that athletes do, to imagine and envision where they want to be as their future self in their performance, we can do the same thing in our lives. What happens is we begin to self-sabotage ourselves. And again, it's in insidious ways. So it can show up as doing things that are busy as opposed to productive, or procrastination, or all these things. We will start making more money, and then we'll self-sabotage because we've passed our money set point. So if we've only, let's say, made $60,000 in a year, and we get up to 100,000, or we have a great month, we will then sabotage ourselves and fall back to our money set point, which I just find so fascinating. And so there's all of these psychological factors that play in around wealth building.
I love this. And actually, I've experienced that myself. The very first very good day I had a $20,000 day.
Yeah.
From that particular stream of income, and I didn't do anything about it. I just, I took those clients, I served them, but I actually didn't perform because I wasn't ready at that stage. And I didn't think, that hang on a second, this is, 20,000 in one day you've secured. So you can maybe go, tomorrow is another day and tomorrow is another day. But it's so true. There is something there, and we start sabotaging and start procrastinating and start going back to resisting, to sell or connect to people or whatever it is there. So it's really all comes down to being aware of what you're telling yourself, and then reframing those stories.
Yeah. And I'm sure you see some of the same things around visibility. I'm sure there's self-sabotaging that happens there. We become more visible, we build our authority, and then all of a sudden we hit a new block, and we, oh, well, I don't really have time to appear on that podcast, or, we make excuses because I think we have lots of limits that are preset in our brain, and it really takes so much self-work. But the cool thing about the brain is that it can't tell the difference between reality and visioning. So you can actually close your eyes and do visualizations and imagine yourself as your future self, where you want to be. And your brain will start to align things with opportunities to make that come true because it thinks you're already there. So that's
true.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things that you can do around wealth and mindset.
Exactly. And that's why we are creatures who can grow personally, and there's so many examples of people, but it takes discipline, and it takes daily routine, and it takes commitment to change, because a lot of people resist the actual change. You're so right. In visibility, especially with live video, people resist big time. They'll do daily live videos for 2 weeks, and then, then they stop. And I am one of those people as well, guys. Everybody goes through the same, and then it's very difficult to start again, and you create everything else, but not what you actually need to create. There's another thing as well, I think, is that people are afraid to charge higher prices.
People are afraid to charge. And yeah, can I address that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So people are afraid to charge, and the biggest point of resistance is, so psychology is interesting. I talk about the psychology of the seller and the psychology of the buyer. So as sellers, we believe if we charge less, or we look at what our competitors in the industry are doing, and if we charge the same, that we will get more clients, or if we lower our prices, we'll get more clients. Well, there is a certain type of buyer that lives in that cheap zone. And I call them PITA clients, so pain in the ass, right? Because they also are really difficult. They will question your discounts. They will ask for free work. They are not where you want to be. And yet most of your competitors are living in that space. So there's this great book called Blue Ocean Strategy. And that, yeah. So the idea is that when you're in the sea of competitors, it's like this bloodied water of sharks, right? Everybody's kind of trying to get the same food, which your clients, it's a gross analogy, but it works very well. Whereas a blue ocean is a place where you carve out your differentiator and there's no other shark. So you have your own niche. And I work a lot with my clients around that. But one of the ways that you begin to carve out a differentiation is just to charge a premium price, because there are so fewer of your competitors, way less of your competitors are actually charging a premium price. So all of a sudden you start to differentiate yourself, and there's this incredible thing that happens where you attract an entirely different type of buyer. And here's what's kind of the miraculous thing about that person. They are more respectful. They respect your time. They're easier to work with. They show up motivated. They do any homework you give them. They get amazing results. The other thing that happens in your business, which is incredible, is you don't have to spend as much time hustling to get all of these cheap clients. Plus, you need fewer clients to hit your income goals. So you're actually able to provide better service to the clients you have. So that accelerates their results. So any resistance people have is made up. And then the other thing around the psychology behind premium pricing is psychologically, we tend to place a higher value on things that are priced more, right? And so when we come across someone who's a premium priced expert, that's exactly how we perceive them. Whereas someone who has a commodity-based price, we perceive them as a commodity, even if they're very skilled. And you don't get the same loyalty, you don't get retention, you don't get repeat buyers. But when you charge higher, you are automatically positioned as the authority. So, psychologically, there's all these huge shifts that happen. And I find the human brain a fascinating place if you can't tell.
Well, that's true as well. I had this conversation with a lot of people, and you know what? The theme that comes up, they're saying, okay, fair enough. I can see how it's happening. You charge more. You only need less people. But I'm getting people onto my sales calls, and they just can't afford me. With what I'm trying to, how do you find those people who can charge? And then, of course, there's people who are normally charging something like, they can charge 10 grand for a package, and they have, they are full up, they have their capacities full up. So these guys who are not used to this, that's where the dilemma is. You're getting people. What, in your opinion, is the secret here, or in a way, what are they not seeing, and why they end up with the sales calls with wrong people on them?
Well, one of the big things is that they are scared to say no. So one of the things that I've found, and I can't explain everything that I teach because some of it seems a bit mysterious or mystical. And, there could be a spiritual basis to this. It could be a neuroscience place. I don't know. But one of the things that I find is when I work with clients and they start to say no to the wrong fit clients, and it's really important to start to draw your boundaries. Like, this is a wrong fit client because they're saying things like, I can't afford you, right? When you say no, you open the doors to opportunities with the right fit clients. And it seems to me like the universe will test you several times. But then what always happens with my clients is these people start to come into their lives who are so excited, but they have to be tested first. And so, this is where the self-sabotaging thing can come in, because people can say, oh, it's not working. We have to have faith. And then this is where your skill set really comes into play, is getting visible and having the confidence, to just be really present. So the more that you're visible, right, the more people perceive you as an authority, and the more people associate you with premium pricing, and they kind of want what you have, right? Because you're developing this spark. I'm sure you can speak to this, but once you start to position yourself as an expert, an authority, someone who charges a premium price, and you really own it, like, I own this, I'm worth it. And that's the key, right? I'm worth this because I can get you results. And so that's part of the key too, is you have to be able to take your buyers on a journey of transformation, not just give them more information or put a little Band-Aid because you've sold them a couple of hours of consulting or coaching, or like give them a new one website page or whatever, right? They need a transformational solution, and that's priceless. So any price tag you can put on it, if you can get them 10x their return, then it's something where you're an asset, not an expense line item.
That is so great. And actually what you said about, when you price yourself higher and you position yourself as someone who is an expert, because yes, we judge the results by the prices, and we also commit so much more when we're paying the premium prices. It's absolutely true. But also with the visibility is the same thing. When you build your authority, it's not just that you post on Facebook 50 times a day. When you're building your authority and you are adding this authority and credibility to your name, you do come across as somebody who is a somebody, right? And that comes with a different perception. And it's easy enough to build that perception. It's not an overnight process, but it's easy enough when you are strategic about it. And then you can put or even before, you can just put yourself a high price tag on, because that's how you look. So you have to think about it in a holistic sort of way, what you charge. Because of course, if you have a really, if you don't put out your authority and you don't show any social proof of the fact that you're helping people transform anything, and then you're telling somebody that I want to charge you 10 grand, and they're like, but who are you? They don't see it. So it's a combination of things. You need to own it. And with what I do, it comes in what comes to your name, what comes with your name. Are you writing for Forbes? Are you, what are you doing there that shows that you're an expert? So I think that there is a mismatch in a lot of people who are complaining about not getting high paying clients because they're not presenting themselves and they don't own this. Saying, well, no, I am this. And I don't know, maybe in the beginning you need to present it and then fake it till you make it. But it's how you position yourself. That's the results you're going to get.
Right. And of course, I feel like I have to say this because some of your listeners I know are still sitting there and going, yeah, I hear you all. I hear what you're saying. And yet I don't have the confidence. I have self-doubts. And so what I really want to say, because I think this is important, is that so many of us grew up with a dysfunctional childhood. Like that's me. There are a lot of factors, or we've had great traumas. We've had bad things done to us. Like, let's just face it. The world is a hard place, right? It's not easy. And because of those things, we feel unworthy. But what the truth is that we have a choice. We can choose to be re-victimized by those people who were mean to us over and over again, or we can choose to put that aside and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to write my own story now, and I'm going to craft my own worthiness, and I'm going to do work around that because, here's the thing is like, you are crafting your own story. And yes, you may have had bad things done to you, but if you stay in that contracted place and you do not get expansive, then you cannot impact the people in this world that you were meant to do. And what I always tell people is there are people right now who are hoping and praying that you show up in their lives, not him, not her, but you. And so when you grow big and you become the person that you dream of being and you were meant to be, you can actually impact those people who are waiting for you to show up.
That is a brilliant point. That is an absolutely brilliant point. Yeah. So this is, what I have to say, that's why we hit it off, because we really share this whole thing about changing your story. Because it's
Yes.
the same when you start being visible and you start, and I say, I don't go, I don't choose easy things. So I tell people, use your personal profile. That's where the reach is. And they're like, but my mom will watch this. And what did she think? Or, my brother-in-law is so angry all the time and I don't want to be, affected. And, and I'm saying, well, you just have to do it because they don't care about your dreams and you care about your dreams. So it's about you actually putting yourself in that picture where the dreams are your reality. And that's the only way. And just go with it and just keep going. Don't give up.
Yeah.
And eventually things, as you said, you can say your brain aligns with the opportunities. You can say the universe or God or whatever you feel is better for you.
Right.
But things align big time.
Things align.
With
Yeah.
your vision. And I absolutely love it. So I'm sure that there's going to be so many people that would want to follow you. What do we have? What's the next step, Wendy?
Well, there are a few ways that you can get in touch with me. So you can come to my website, wendymaynard.com. I have a Facebook group. I love to have people in it. It is businessprofitengine.com. That just redirects you and you can join. And I would love to talk with you all. And then, like Juliet, I have I have started to use my personal page. So come friend me, Wendy Maynard. There's lots of ways. I'm really easy to get in touch with.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to stick a few of these links up in the description to this video. So it just takes a little click and you're connected and it's all, you're in business. Wendy, thank you so much. I thought that it was such an amazing value for everybody watching. And guys,
thank you so much.
Yourself. Like this is, I think, what basically, if you put it on one word, don't belittle yourself. You deserve, you are big, expand, let things go. Write your own story because we are in control. It really is true. And I know that from being visible and from deciding to be visible and going through the journey of seeing this. And then when one day you're sitting there somewhere drinking coffee and thinking, hang on a second, this is my reality. I didn't even realize, how did it happen? I didn't even notice, but it became my reality, what I thought was impossible dream. So guys, make impossible dreams, charge higher prices. You're worth it, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
And whatever happened before, just let it go. I think that's the message here. And connect to Wendy, she's brilliant.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work that you're doing in the world.
Oh, thank you. And my pleasure. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. I will see you next week. Connect to Wendy. And yes, do not belittle yourself ever. Thank you so much. Bye.